Hello everyone and welcome back to Ratting Road. I apologise for the pretty long gap in between the videos at the moment. I did state at the beginning of the year in the last video that the current stages are requiring quite a bit of trial and error and practice and things like that, which just doesn't really make them worthy of filming because, you know, it just won't really look good and it's just not really video worthy in general. It'll be much better just to get all the practice in, and then once I come to do the final build or whatever, that's when I can show you. So that's the route I'm currently taking with everything at the moment. So over the last couple of months I have done some of the tasks that I said, like I redone all of the catenary and just made them as robust and as strong as possible, ready for when I come to fully string the layout in one go. So that's one thing I've done, and then I've also produced a scratch built headspan just for a prototype if you like, and that's gone down in place. So I'll be building a load more of them for the future parts of the layout as well, and I will bring a video, like a how-to video on how I made them, so that's something to look forward to as well. And then other things I've been doing are working on rolling stock projects, getting them fit for the layout. So I had a Hornby 153 arrive as a new addition, and then I just spent some time repainting the interior, fitting all the passengers and detailing and things like that. And then something else is Hornby DRS short set, and I've just repainted the interiors on those as well, fitted all the passengers, all the usual stuff really, just to get them all complete and as realistic as possible. So yeah, I did sort of step back from the layout every now and again just to take some breaks and work on some rolling stock as well, just to keep things different and keep me fully fit and refreshed, or whatever you want to call it. So that explains the pretty lengthy time, but I've finally reached a stage where I can finally get some more progress done on the layout and get a video up. If you do want to follow the layout closely, I do have social medias that I am more active on. I've got a Facebook page, an Instagram account and an RM web thread as well. Facebook page is Ratting Road, Instagram is at Ratting Road Model Railway, and then RM web is Ratting Road as well. So all of those are linked down in the description below. So if you did want to follow the layout more closely, you don't have to wait for the installments on YouTube, you can do so by following those links. So I'll leave those down in the description if you do want to follow the layout more closely. Today's video is going to be based on just getting all of this section of unweathered track you see all complete, ready for the overhead live electric equipment to be installed. By the time this is in, any issues with the track or whatever will be difficult to rectify, so I do want to get it all spot on and perfect before these go in. As you can see, I've already got the bridge, or the bare bones of the bridge, made up. That is temporarily in place, it's still loose, it hasn't been glued down yet, but nothing will be continuing with that until all of the track is complete and all of the overhead equipment's in place, because then I know where the final position of the bridge will go. The positioning of the OHLE and all the wires do dictate where that's going to go, unfortunately, so that's something that's taken priority for now. But before the OHLE goes in, I do want the track work to be absolutely spot on. I've already had to replace a section of track already, and that just needs to have its droppers added and then reballasted and weathered in to be blended in over there. A couple of sections of track need to be rejigged and replaced over here as well, because I've had some running problems with some of my stock, and also just wanted to improve the look of the track anyway, so that's something else I'll be doing. And over towards the scenic brake, I need to move forward the relay box and the signals. I'll actually be replacing the signals for 4-aspect signals as well, so there's plenty of stuff to be getting on with, so I'm going to make a start and I hope you enjoy the video. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get all the small items of detailing up that need to come up and just get replaced. And I'll just get that all done quickly first before moving on to the track work. That's the small items of detailing up now that I'll just keep to one side. Some will be getting replaced and some will be moving on to other things. So the 2 signals, they'll be going on to a new owner who's already sort of made me reserve them for them or whatever. And then there's just the a relay box line up there. I intend to put that back down, and then there's a AWS ramp as well, and some cabling and a TPWS grid, so all those will get back down at some point. So I'm now just going to get on with removing the piece of track and replacing that, and the offending track that needs to come out is this one in the centre here. I'll notice some time ago that somewhere along the line something's been dropped on it, or it's become damaged over time. But if I just come a bit closer, around here you might be able to get an idea, but it has sort of, I don't even know what's happened to it. It's like bowed to some description, and then up closer as well it's cracked and it's sort of not level anymore. I noticed this quite a while ago, but it's one of them things you put back, and it's about time now that I actually rectified it, so I'm just going to get it all replaced. I often see on things like social media people wondering how to remove ballasted track without making too much of a mess. You will ultimately make a bit of a mess, let's put it that way, but obviously there are ways to keep the mess down. And what I do when I take my track up, or when I have taken my track up, I've always soaked the area in lukewarm or warm water, and then let it soak for a couple of minutes, and then just get at it with a flathead screwdriver or something, just to persuade it to come up from the glue. Now, because unfortunately my track is pinned down rather than glued, it makes it life a little bit easier and doesn't take quite as long to do. But if you have glued your track down, then you might want to wait a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is I've got a cup of warm water and a pipette, and I'm just going to apply it over the ballasted track that I need to take up. And so you just do it all in the centre. I'm just going to go up to around there is where the fish plate is. Be generous with it, because the more the better, essentially. You won't have to worry about doing any damage to electrics or anything like that, considering you've already applied your PVA water mix to it already, so you won't have to worry about doing any damage or what have you. Do it all around the sides as well. You just want to focus primarily on the area you want to take up. Right, so I'm happy with that. So that's that. I'm going to now just leave it for a few minutes just to let the water sort of soak up the glue or whatever to make it all soft, and then I can get at it with the screwdriver and then just make it much more easier to remove. So it's been a few minutes now, and I'm not sure how well it's picking it up on the camera, but the texture and the appearance of the water applied ballasted area has started to change, and when I run my fingers along it, all the ballast starts to come up and stick to my finger a little bit. So that tells me that the glue has started to get soaked up. So there you go, there's some ballast on my finger, not a lot, but there won't be it yet. So I'm now just going to go at it with the flathead screwdriver and carefully as possible try and take it up. So I've simply just put the track down for now, but if I just come to the area where it was, as you can see, mess was kept to an absolute minimum. This went really smoothly, to say the least. If you find that when you do this and it hasn't quite, became soggy or whatever, or it doesn't want to come out, then just give it a bit longer, maybe apply some more water. Again, if you've glued your track down as well as your ballast, then always give it a bit longer, but if you're like me and you've pinned it, then you should be okay. I only left it for a good couple of minutes and it came away with no problems at all. And as you can see, left really little mess. So what I'm going to do is just hoover up the area there it was, get rid of all the old ballast. General rule really, or the best idea is not to reuse the old ballast because it can come up really clumpy, but it all depends on what you use. Considering I'm ballasting a whole piece of track, I will use fresh ballast. So that will be the next stage. So I'm just going to get the area all hoovered up and then just get the new piece of track in. So that's a new piece of tracking now, and I've turned the power on just to test it all works. I haven't added the droppers in yet. I'll be doing that once I'm happy. So I'm just running some trains around the layout now, and you'll see those in a moment. So one of the trains coming around the corner now is my 156. This is one of the pieces of stock that didn't like that bend before, so to see it now running round and round and round without derailing brings a smile to my face. And then as you can see as well, the OHLE 153 has since returned, so that is now just running back in. I've given the wheels a clean and I'm just running that back in. It was only away for a few weeks, but it went to Roads and Rails for sound fitting and interior lighting as well, so I'm happy with what Richard done. If you do, or if you are wanting some sound fitted to your locos and stock, etc., I would highly recommend Richard. He's got a YouTube channel, and I'll leave a link to that in the corner now, and you can go through and watch some of his videos. He does some really good stuff. I do like what he does, and he's always willing to give people advice as well, and he's a nice guy. So a shout out to Richard there, and thanks for doing the 153 for me. So please do check him out. So I'm just going to carry on running the trains, do some more stuff as well, just to fully test the track out with different types of stuff I've got. And then once I'm happy, I can add the droppers and it'll be ready for ballasting. Okay, so I finished testing the track, and then I just added the droppers. I also added the droppers to the section of track over there as well, and the 153 is just doing another quick test on that, and it's running around effortlessly, which is what I like to see. So now the track is ready to be re-ballasted, but before I do that, I'm going to add the new signals in. So these are the new signals that we're going in place. They're Burco as well, just like my old ones, so I've pretty much just done a like for like. It's just this time round I've gone for the 4 aspect signals rather than the 3, as these were more prototypical, and it just makes more sense to have these rather than the 3 aspect signals. So these will be getting sent away once these are in place, so I'm going to get cracking on doing these. Okay, so it's been a few weeks since the previous clip. I did run into a few delays on the way, but I did decide to crack right on, and as you can see, made a fair bit of progress. So if I just come down, you'll see that I've got one of the 4 aspect signals connected. There's the second one as well that's installed and working nicely as well. Both of these new signals are controlled by some infrared detection blocks that are made by Heathcote Electronics. So this signal in the footage now is controlled by what's called a mass sequencer, and then the other signal is controlled by what's called an IRD ASC, which stands for infrared detection and signal control. So what a mass sequencer does, it obviously controls the aspects, but then as you just saw, the train passed over the infrared sensor for it, and then that set the signal to red. And then once the train's cleared the sensor, it then starts a timer, counts back, and then goes through all of the aspects, and then eventually back to green. So as you just saw, the signals change to yellow, and then eventually it will go back to green just while the train catches up to it. And there you go, gone back to red. Obviously you didn't see it go all the way back to red, but you get the idea. Pretty much works as the real signal does, so it's almost as if the train clears the signal blocks further down the line. So that's how this signal works, so I'll just briefly show the next one. So this signal is controlled by an IRD ASC, which again stands for infrared detection and signal control. The difference between one of these and a mass sequencer is that there is no time limit involved. So as you can see, the signal aspect has just changed to a single yellow, and the Class 66 and the PGA train have just crossed over the sensor, and it's now changed to red. So what will happen now is that the train will clear the signal, but as there's no timer, it will stay at red, but it changes aspect by the train reaching the signal down line. This is controlled by a mass sequencer, so then as the signal down the line changes aspect, it will then send signals back to the IRD ASC and tell it to change the aspects for this signal. So it pretty much just works as a real block detection system would on the real railway. So the train has now cleared the sensor for this signal, and it's now going to pass the signal downline shortly, and then we'll see this signal change to yellow after the end of the train has passed the sensor downline. So as you can see, the signal has changed to a single yellow because the rear wagon has cleared the sensor downline, and just in time as well because the Class 66 is about to make another pass. So you can just about see where the sensor's poking up from underneath the baseboard, and it's just where that pause in ballasting is. So you just drill your hole for the sensor to be pushed upwards into, and then you just screw the board underneath. So then this is what the train passes, and then that's once it picks up the movement, then it will then change the aspect to red. So that's the signals themselves working, so I'll just have a quick peek underneath the low and just explain these boards. So I'm now underneath the low, and this is one of the modules. This is the IRD ASC unit. I won't bother showing the mass sequencer because it pretty much looks identical, and they're pretty much wired up the same as well. The red LED that is flashing now, that just lights up when the module detects the movement or the trains above via the infrared sensor. So that's all it's flashing for. It's picking up the trains and the wagons above. So you've got a couple of sets of terminal blocks here and here. So the ones here are your signal ones, and all your wires from the signal will go into those. And then these ones along here are where you take your power feed wires. So these two here are the positive and negative, and I've used the 12 volt DC supply to power these. And then this extra green wire here is the feed or the send and return wire from the mass sequencer. So this wire links the mass sequencer downline to this module, so then all of the signals get sent to it via this wire. So they all just go into the terminal blocks, making it really easy to use. So it's just a matter of drilling your hole through the track and then just pushing it upwards through the baseboard, through the sensors of the track all lined up, and then just wiring it all together. Obviously the products themselves come with all the instructions, and so do the signals, so it's just a matter of following the instructions. Again, they're all made by Heathcote Electronics, and I'll leave the link in the description below. They're really good products, really easy to use, and I can't fault them at all. They've been first class since I've installed them, and I've never really had any problems. So I really do recommend them, and I hope you do check them out. So coming away from the signals now, as you can see, the centre piece of track, the new piece of track in the centre has been reballasted, and I've just added some extra items of detailing in. So there's a TPWS grid there, which is made by Pico. There's a new AWS ramp there, which is also made by Pico. And then here there's some dummy cable ducting that goes underneath the track. That's just ordinary cable painted orange. And then I don't know how well you can see, but I've also got some dummy cabling in there as well, so you can just see this longer one more clearly. That's 0.2mm brass wire painted black, and then just stuck down and made to look like the cable just runs over the ballast like real life. So it just ties it all together, makes it look really nice, I think. So to finish the video off, I'm going to get this area completed and just weather all the track. So now the track's looking a million times better. Now that it's been weathered, it always looks nice seeing track weathered. It's one of them things that makes a massive difference to a model railway, and it's always worth doing in my opinion. So this time round I wanted a more subtle appearance rather than just looking really weathered and heavy. So I revisited the watered down paints method again, and I'm really pleased with how this one turned out. As you can see, the trains are running around nicely as well, proving that everything's working as normal as it should, which is always nice to see, and it just looks that much better now that it's running on weathered track. So what I've done first to get the appearance is that I watered down some black acrylic paint just to take the edge off the pristine look of the ballast first, and doing that alone did make a really big difference. Then I went over it with some watered down burnt umber just to put the brown colours and brown tinge into the ballasting that you tend to see. And then any areas that needed a bit more brown, I've done that as well with some more watered down black. And at the end I added some more tones, tied it all in with the airbrush using some sleeper grime and roof dirt. Overall, I'm really pleased with how it's turned out, and the trains are looking really nice as well, running around as you can see. So that pretty much brings the video to an end, and if you've stuck it out this far, then fair play to you. I know the video is a bit long, and I always like to try and get them a bit shorter than this one, but it is what it is, and I hope you enjoyed watching it nonetheless. I've left all my links to my social medias in the description below, so you don't have to wait for the YouTube uploads or whatever to keep in touch or up to date with the layout. So again, my Facebook page is Ratting Road, and my RM web thread is Ratting Road as well, and my Instagram is at Ratting Road Model Railway, and you can find all of those in the description below. Also, don't forget to check out the Heathcote electronics modules as well. Those are linked in the description as well. So again, I highly recommend you do check those out. The layout will probably remain trial and error for the next month or so. It all depends on how progress goes, you know how things go. But on that note, I'll leave the video there, and I'll hope to see you in the next one, and I hope you enjoyed. Take care, happy modelling, and stay safe. Bye.